Hello. Something a little bit different. I thought it'd be kind of fun to make a little video about how difficult something like training for a half marathon or running in general can be as an adult, because life just never stops coming at you, and it genuinely feels like the world is constantly just trying to make you stop running and have to deal with everything else. And that's really hard, because at least for me, it's very difficult to prioritize my own wants and needs and hold aside the time I need for training to make sure that it happens, and everything else gets built around that. And sometimes you just don't have a choice. So there's really only so much you can do as an adult to make sure that you can keep training. And the entire time I was going through the recovery from the flooding that we had back in August, it took me about 3 months of spending pretty much every evening doing physical labor down in the basement, rebuilding walls, rebuilding flooring, moving furniture, cleaning the ever-loving crap out of everything. So I talked about it quite a bit because it was constantly disrupting my training. I lost like a full week of training to it. There was a lot of training I wanted to do that I couldn't do, like strength training and more speed-based workouts that I couldn't get myself to do because my legs were always really sore and in a lot of pain. Just because I was doing so much work, squatted down, crouched down, bent over at awkward angles while moving heavy things around. But I'm finished. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to show kind of the benefits that you get as an adult from making sacrifices, but also trying to find the right balance with training. Because I managed to make both work. And while my half marathon maybe wasn't as fast as it could have been, and maybe I wasn't as well trained for it as I could have been, there was some benefit to it. So this is my new basement. Of note, when we had our flooding in early August from the once in a millennia rainstorm, we had about 6 inches of water down here. And so you can imagine how much damage that would have done. We had a lot of things that were not particularly far off of the ground that got soaked in what I can only assume was raw sewage water, probably heavily diluted from all of the rain, but still not something that you want to have just hanging out in your walls. So I had to cut out, the bottom couple feet of wall here. A lot of our furniture was destroyed and had to be replaced. Insulation all the way around needed to get pulled out and replaced. I had to disinfect everything, anti-mold all of the things. And I've been slowly rebuilding it one thing at a time. So the floors are new, that used to be carpet. As you can imagine, that was disgusting after having flooded water down here. So that has been replaced with some linoleum or luxury vinyl plank flooring. Chose it specifically because it's waterproof. The new wall paneling I've put up are on the bottom to replace the drywall that got gross. Is all PVC material, so that is also waterproof. The insulation I put in is not waterproof, but it's fireproof, so my walls are still fireproof, or have adequate fireproofing. And then all of the repainting that we did, because all the paint that was down here was kind of old and faded, so we couldn't just match it and replace it. We had to repaint everything. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but I'm really proud of how it turned out. We spend a lot of our free time down here, so having this unavailable to us for so long was really hard. And you can imagine how much losing a space like this would really throw off your day-to-day life. And so the way that I'm going to look back at this past summer was, this was the past summer where I learned a lot about myself. I was able to push myself to run farther than I've ever run before while building this. And as proud as I am of the work that I did down here and how it all turned out, I'm a bit more proud of the run I did. Also, I run Dungeons & Dragons down here, so I've got a bunch of custom RGB LEDs everywhere, and it all lights up, and I've got all kinds of mood lighting going on. And I specifically purpose-built this bar to play Dungeons & Dragons on. The bar top itself is 3 feet by 7 feet, so there's plenty of room for the whole party, and maps, and terrain, and a dungeon screen, and I'm a bit of a nerd, but it's pretty freaking awesome, and I think if you're into Dungeons & Dragons, I've got a pretty cool place to play, and I'm really happy with that. Also, you can imagine how fun watching movies is down here. I've got a new surround sound system that I put in to replace the old one. This new one is significantly nicer. And we've been rewatching Stranger Things, and to be honest with you, it's pretty freaking cool, and I really like it. So yeah, would I have had a more pleasant time training for a half marathon if I wasn't down here physically exhausting myself before every run? Yeah, probably. Would I have run it faster? Probably. But like, I'm not out here trying to set world records or win races. Like, I ran a time that I'm still really proud of. I ran it in 1:51:57, I think was the official time. And like, okay, maybe I could have found another 5 minutes with more tailored training, but like, who cares? As an adult, we have to find the balances in our life. You know, I've got a full-time career. My wife has a full-time career. I got a doggo I gotta take care of. And my house needed to be fixed. You don't really get to choose when you do things like that. You have to do them when they happen. I couldn't just wait. Can you imagine if I waited? There was raw sewage in our basement. If I just like left that for even a day, we probably would have lost the whole house. And it sucks that, you know, looking back, it was constantly impeding my ability to go train the way I wanted to. But like, it's okay. So if you're a normal runner, average runner, age group runner, if you're not an elite level runner, you eventually have to get to this point where you accept that life is always going to throw things in your way, and your training is going to just be disruptive. And this isn't true of just running, this is pretty much everything in life. No matter what you're trying to do, if it requires commitment and time commitments, something's going to disrupt it. And you just gotta go with the punches, man. Don't let it stop you completely, but be okay with being 5 minutes slower. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you did it, and I had fun, and I'm proud of what I did. And I'm excited to keep going. And that's probably what matters most. So, yeah, something a little different. That's what I've been up to. Okay, bye.